Yo, what's going on, guys? Firefist Chris here, and today I'm bringing you guys another deck profile. This time I have Whitebeard. This is more of a pure version of the Whitebeard deck instead of the Strawbeard version. I'll be uploading more of the deck profiles for OP-02 as we move on to the tournament season as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and just do my first variation of this deck. All in all, for Whitebeard, if you guys don't know, he's the first 6 life leader. So he has 6,000 power. So obviously it is difficult for a lot of decks to be able to attack into him. You have to put on Dawn on your leader to be able to even attack him once. And he does have a penalty where at the end of your turn, you have to add a card from the top of your life to your hand. So that's what kind of helps balance the deck. But in general, obviously it's a very strong deck. It is a Yonko deck. So we'll just go ahead and go straight into the deck profile, and then I'll list the cards out here now so you guys can see them. So to get started, obviously we're going to run 4 Otama. It's a red 2K counter, as well as, you know, on play you can give something 2,000, which does combo well for this deck with cards like Vista, as well as having cards as Seaquake, being able to pop a card with 3,000 or less power. So Atmos, obviously a great card. You don't want to run less of it. This next card is more of a tech card, which is 1 Whitney Bay. So I was actually playing this card just because if they make you go first, you don't really have a turn 1 play for this deck. And this was kind of the best turn 1 play card, especially against a lot of matchups. You put 1 Dawn on this, and then this can attack active characters. So this does help in matchups if they drop something that's a 2-drop or against green, be able to attack something active. It's really good. Only run 1 of it. Pretty much just more of a tech card, like I said, for going first. Next, I have 4 copies of Blenheim. So Blenheim, I was running Bartholomew as a 2-drop blocker. And it also has a counter. This doesn't have a counter. However, I did decide to run this over the Bartholomew because I came to a realization is that with the Bartholomews, you can pitch them for a counter value, but a lot of times you want to try to summon them. However, if you summon this can both act as your blocker as well as in late game with Moby Dick. This can attack for 5 without any Dawn. So a lot of times if you leave this up, don't block your life and just counter from your hand. A lot of times they won't really try to get over this. So that way you can have an attacker late game, because a lot of times people realize that Whitebeard, you kind of need a board to be able to push for game, especially when you have no life at the end of game trying to grind it out. Next card, only run 2 Squad. So Squad, I did decide to cut down on it. I do have a love-hate relationship with this card. So obviously it doesn't have any counter value. On play, you have to give an opponent characters -4, and then you have to draw a card from your life. So obviously the drawing card of your life is the penalty. However, on turns, especially for the Moby Dick effect to go off, or Josu or Marco, you can get those effects active earlier than you normally would just by taking a life each turn. So Squad does have some combos, as well as this allows you to pop larger characters by making them 4,000 less power. So Seaquake can also destroy them. In combination with Squad, obviously for Whitebeard, we have 4 of the Vista. On play, you KO something with 3,000 or less. You got to run 4 of it. It's just easy removal, as well as it becomes a good attacker late game as well. Another tech card I'm running is Rakuyo. So it's a 3/4. However, Dawn, on your turn, all your characters with a Whitebeard Pirates gain 1,000 power. So this, when Moby Dick late game, does become very hard for your opponent to be able to counter out of anything, as well as he would become with 1 Dawn 7k attacker for 3-drop. So it's a really good card. Just running 1 of it as of right now. I'm just trying them out. Next, it is Marco. So Marco, obviously, it's a fan favorite. It's a 4-drop 5,000 blocker. And then on KO, you can trash a card with the Whitebeard Pirates from your hand. And if you have 2 or less life, you can bring them back. And it's not, any type of once per turn. So you can do that multiple times. And it kind of forces your opponent to keep attacking it, to try to waste cards from your hand. He's just a really good card, as well as he can attack late game for 7. In conjunction with him as well, we have 4 Josus. So for Josu, it's a 2k counter, as well as Josu actually has rush. So his ability, if you have 2 or less cards in your life, and this card would then just gain rush to be able to attack your opponent. So what I meant before with Squad, you can, if you have 3 life, you can make this obviously drop Squad and then drop this, and then this will gain rush since now you have 2 life. So it is good for clearing boards as well as just getting attacks off late game. Then for the vanilla cards, we're just playing the 4 Atmos. It's a 4/6 that gets the boost. It's really good getting this card off on curve. And then we also have, I'm only running 3 just for space, 3 King Drews. I'm gonna try to see if maybe I can bump it up to 4. A lot of times you just do want to see this card on your curve turn, so to make sure that you have a larger attacker for late game. So you can't, not much else to say about those 2 vanilla cards, just really good stats. Next, I am running 2 of the aces. So ace, obviously it's a really good card late game as well. You can give 2 of your opponents characters. I believe it's -3, and then this card gains rush. So it has rush, you can give 2 things -3, and then obviously you can also have Vista to be able to pop stuff since this is only 7 Dawn. So we have Ace. Ace is a great card, especially late game. Next, I'm only running 1 of the Edward Newgate's, the Whitebeard, the 9-drop. In this type of build, I do see that a lot of people are not favoring running him. I'm running him as a 1-of because if you do get him at like in a good scenario where you have 1 or 2 life left, and you can go ahead and drop this and protect your life from being drawn that turn, it does change the tide, as well as a lot of people can't really get over this. And then this with Moby Dick is just 12 attacking without any Dawn. And this can also, when you have 2 Dawn on it, can pop something with 3 or less. So you have Atmos, you have Squad. So this, late game is obviously really good. It's just an issue where a lot of times it can get clogged up in your hand if you get it a little bit too late. So, I mean, in the worst case scenario, you can discard it for Marco's ability to bring Marco back as well. So that was it for the characters that I'm running. For the events, I have the stage card first. So Moby Dick. If you have 1 or less, then all of your Whitebeard pirates gain 2 or less, and then the triggers by playing the card. I'm running 4 because for this build, you have to see this card. It's almost like getting Onigashima for Kaido. You have to see this card because it's kind of your win condition late game. So you do want to make sure you get that, as well as it is worthy to note that you cannot activate this card if you're drawing it from life. It has to be when your opponent attacks it to get the trigger ability off. Next, I'm running 2 of the Whitebeard pirates. So this I use to just try to get combo pieces that I know I'm going to need, depending on the board state that my opponent has. So if you use this card, you can try to get a blocker if you need to be defensive with Blenheim, which is actually another reason why I decided to run him over the Bartholomew, just because you can actually search him with this card. If you need a blocker, as well as if you need to get any type of pieces that you need for Whitebeard, like a Marco, this can search kind of anything in your deck. So I'm running 2 of that. Then I'm running 2 of the Seaquake. I cut down on 1 of the Seaquake. It is good in a lot of matchups. Some matchups I feel like this card is not as good, such as like Black, for an example. It's it's a decent card. It's not the best card. It was just a lot of matchups where I found myself having too many in this in hand and nothing I can actually pop on my opponent's board. Obviously, it's really good against Zoro as well. Anything that has smaller attacking stats characters. So running 2 of that. Then for the defensive event cards, 4 Radical Beam. If you have 2 or less, it becomes a 1 drop, 4,000 counter, and then Guard Point, which would be a 1 drop, 3,000 counter. So all in all, that was the Whitebeard list. So far, I've been running it on the online simulator for at least this version, and I think this is the version besides like Strawbeard that I've been liking the most. Strawbeard, I feel like it's a little bit better for OP-02's meta, but going into OP-03, it's definitely going to revert back to more of this type of Moby Dick beatdown for a Pokebeard meta. And this has just been the first version of this deck profile. If you guys do like the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. as well as I'm going to be uploading another updated version for the Kinemon deck I uploaded recently. I made a couple changes, as that's going to be preferably my main deck for this format. But that was for me to you, signing out, guys. Peace.